Sabubona, Kia ora, and Kumusta. Hey, it's Tom from GreenShortz, and I'm back on the camper build. My co-host is preparing for his gateway exam, so he's out this week as well. Although I'll probably bring him in at the end to show him the final product. Whoa. I'm switching gears a little bit today because I thought I was about to jump into skinning the outside of the camper, but because I've decided to make the kitchen a drawer, I need to put that mechanism in place before I cover this up with skin. And that's gonna involve this massive hinge, locking hinge that is, this expensive locking hinge. And when I paid 150 bucks for this, I actually thought I was buying one pair, not one hinge. But this thing is rated for 350 pounds, so I think I can do it with one, which will actually be good because this thing is substantial, and again, this is weight behind the axle, so less is better than more. I'm excited about this particular element of the build because it's gonna feature tinktube really well. I'll get to use a lot of different kinds of brackets, more so than I used on the skeleton build. tinktube makes this system of pipes, connectors, and accessories to empower any DIY project. Of course, tinktube is the sponsor of this camper build series. First thing I'm gonna do is attach this and then figure out how those rails are gonna go in place. You can see just how much range this is going to give me, and that should be plenty of space for the 4 components that I want to have as the elements of my kitchen. In my last video, I called this space a garage. Of course, now the garage is going to be the kitchen. I'm going to quickly weld on some brackets. Not enough connection for my ground. It ain't pretty, but it'll do. Alright, my 2 brackets are in place, and now I'm going to protect the raw steel with a coat of primer and paint. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now that I've got the slide installed, I'm going to install a piece of tinktube to be my base rail. Everything else is gonna mount to this.
To help keep the holes centered, I'm going to use a center punch and a tinktube bracket to help guide the drill bit. I'm actually going to be connecting this piece of tinktube with rivets, so I'm only going to drill through one wall of the pipe. I'm going to install tinktube brackets on this rail before I rivet it to the slide. I'm going to set this first gap so the sink can slide in between the two verticals. I'm also going to use a spacer next to where each rivet will go through so they don't pull the pipe out of alignment. Finally, I'm going to attach this to the slide with some rivets. For this project, I sprung for a decent riveter. I've used the cheap one and they don't work right. Pay close attention to this part of the video. It ought to be riveting. I'm going to check clearances, make sure this will go in and out. And now I'm going to add risers to each of these 4 brackets. And now the top rail. Got a little bit of twist here, and I'm actually going to have a back rail as well. The back rail will be continuous and it's going to slide in and onto a piece of conduit. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, so I'm running into something tricky here. If I use this kind of bracket here, connecting this directly, then I need to cut the conduit here. But I really need the conduit to come all the way out to here so that this can go out far enough without falling off. So I'm going to switch the bracket to this one. That will allow this pipe to pass over the conduit and still connect this way where it lines up. There's still a little play here, but I think when I put the bracket in here to lock that in, it's going to give me a little more rigidity. Hey, train's here. It's been a while since I've caught a train in a video. Hello, old friend. Initially, I was thinking I'd do an angle bracket like this. to hold this at a right angle. But I don't think that's gonna stop it from kind of leaning over like this. 2 slides would have done that job. But I don't want to spend another 150 bucks on slides, because then my 2 slides would have cost me more than the trailer itself. So what I'm going to do instead is, even though it is a less elegant solution, I'm going to add a clamp-on leg to the end of the slide out. And put a rubber foot on the bottom. Finally, I'll attach this with a screw. Having the leg on this end is going to remove any concerns I have for how much weight is going to go on this slide-out kitchen. And our form is following our function here, so stability comes before elegance. You may be wondering about what's happening on the top of the kitchen here. It's got very little clearance going in, so the countertop and the additional kitchen components are going to be removable. Plus, the height is actually a little bit low here. I do want to raise the height of the countertop. And I'm going to do that with a combination of the 1-inch powder-coated pipe and short sections of conduit that will drop down into the vertical elements of the frame, and that's why I left the tops open. The next thing I need to determine is how much taller I want the countertop to be. I'm going to go with 7-inch extensions, at least on the inside half of the countertop. And something I can do with these sharp edges is to use the reamer. It will smooth the outside diameter. And then on this side, it will smooth the inside diameter. That's good to do since I'm going to be leaving those edges, or some of those edges, exposed. Now I'm going to prep a couple of small pieces of conduit to act as the extensions for my countertop risers. This one's a good length. I'm just going to fix those edges. The countertop is going to be attached with these brackets. And I'm actually going to do a temporary countertop today. I've got something special in mind that's going to take a little more time to construct, but I kind of want to see how this looks with a surface on it. The countertop's going to be screwed into the front brackets, but on the back edge I'm going to have a drop down like this. And that drop down is going to attach with these brackets. They'll snap onto the back rail and help hold the countertop in place. And then they'll pop off when it's time to disassemble. The brackets are a little wider, so I'm going to put a backer on over here. This could stand to be even a little wider, but this is just my prototype. This end is going to come out a little bit further to align with this, but the stove section is going to go in here. I'll have the purpose-built rocket stove that drops down into these 2 risers. It'll also have a non-rocket stove version where I can just set my propane stove. So I've got a little more design to do here. The drinking water is going to sit here, and then the sink is going to be on a slide out here. And then this section here will be for prep, and serving food. And then of course it'll disassemble and the framework will slide in for travel. Alright, it's time for me to go pick up Trevor at school and then we'll see what he thinks. So the skin will be on this side, there'll be a little door right here.
Oh, okay.
We'll open up and then go like this.
Whoa.
There's only one slide, so it's a little bit rocky, so we're gonna use this. And then, so this is kind of low for a countertop, right? So then these go in the risers. And it snaps on like that.
That's so cool.
Water goes here. The sink will be on some kind of a device that slides out of this spot.
Okay.
It sits right there. Prep area, and then this section will drop in with a rocket stove.
Oh.
And it'll be a little bit lower, or the little propane stove will go here as well.
So you'll be on this side.
Yeah, we'll stand on this side. There'll be some storage underneath here.
Like utensils and
Utensils, paper towels, all those kind of things we'll need. Got a custom countertop idea.
Ooh.
We'll work on that later. All the finishing elements of the kitchen will be after we get the skin on. Alright, so what do you think?
It's very cool, a little bit more on the complex side, kind of to show the diversity that we have with tinktube.
Definitely feature the tinktube system pretty well. I used lots of different brackets. This may be the most complex part of the build though, honestly. And it's probably a little bit overbuilt, knowing me. Special thanks to our patrons and members for helping make these videos possible. Appreciate the support and the vote of confidence. As always, our mission here at GreenShortz is to help you
See green so you can be green, and save a little green by doing it yourself.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday. Trevor's in the kitchen.